People ask about, does grief always involve a death? And I work in hospice, and so we think in terms of death. But really, grief is the loss of something and our reaction to that. And it's a natural reaction. But grief involves the loss or of a loved one, or of a separation of a relationship, from a job. It can also be a terminal diagnosis, and that's a kind of a loss of self, right? That we realize that we may be moving on. People will ask, how long does grief last? And it's going to vary from individual to individual. There are some people who never grieve. They don't respond to grief in what we would consider the normal way. But most people, it can go for weeks, and depending upon how close they were to whomever they lost or whatever the circumstances were, it could go on for years, literally. Grief is universal. Most everyone has it, but it's also personal. So when someone comes in and they say, and they've talked to me as a grief counselor, I've been grieving this for 3 months, when's it going to end? I don't feel like I'm getting any better. At that point, they may be stuck, but they are moving closer to the end. But grief can go on for a pretty long period of time. For most people, it does end after maybe 4 to 6 months. There are also cultural elements to it. In some societies, people, they need to get on with their lives, and after 30 days or 45 days, they feel like it's over with. Grief is kind of a two-stage process. We have, the intellectual or the brain part and the heart part. And when we, our emotions are out in front when we're deep in grief. Our brain knows that something's happened and is willing to say it's happened, but our heart isn't ready to let that go. So again, whether it's a person that died or a relationship, and it's finally when the brain and the heart kind of get in sync, and maybe even the brain takes over and it says, you do have to move on from this. But it's still just a matter of coping.